so let's go ahead and start. Welcome, everybody. This is 22nd of April, 2025, and this is Open Research Institute's Field Programmable Gate Array Projects Meetup. What we do is we talk about what we have done in the past, usually over the past week or so, what we have planned to do, over the next week or so, next little bit of time. And if we have any roadblocks that are anything that's preventing us from getting things done, we talk about those and ask for help. And then if we need any resources, if there's anything that ORI can help folks with, and we talk about those things too. So it's a roundtable discussion, and then we move into more general discussion after that. So I'd like to invite Aaron to take the floor. So we have some time constraints with your schedule. So please take the floor and tell us how it's going and what you might need.
Thank you, Michelle. Sorry I missed the last meeting, but what I've been working on is I've been playing with the Pico tuner. Last time I reported that I built it successfully and it didn't blow up, but I've been able to run it through its paces a little bit for both. The whole point of it is for amateur television, but I was trying to get GSE working on it as well. And I had some success, but not I wouldn't say overall success because I didn't get every ping that I was expecting. The Pico tuner comes in two flavors, one with the Raspberry Pi Pico for the USB interface, and then also another Pico that has an Ethernet device attached to it. And I tested both of them. The USB implementation, because it's full speed, you can't send DVB-S2 signal with high bandwidths. The Ethernet one can support, I think I pushed it up to 10 mega samples per second successfully, doing video and also getting some packets with GSC. So I'm kind of in the place where, okay, one of my goals is, okay, I got a receiver working. I can prove that it's working with the video on some GSC, but the next step that I'm planning on taking is, okay, taking the DVB-S2 encoder that ORI developed and integrating it and testing it against that receiver. So that's what I'll be working on next. Yep, that's what I have. No blockers right now, but this coming week I don't have a lot of time to spare, and I might miss the next meeting, but we'll see when we get there.
Okay, no, fantastic. That's I'm very much looking forward to the things you find because I think that'll give us some sort of direct and good firsthand information on whether there's anything that we need to improve in our DVB-S2 encoder. So I know that there's still a list of things that the authors would like to do. So I'm very curious to see how it works and anything that you find. So yeah, just reach out on Slack and here. And if we miss you next week, we'll be here the week after, and looking forward to hearing all about it. It's very exciting.
Thank you.
You bet. Awesome. All right. Hey, Paul, would you like to tell us what's been going on and what you have planned and anything you might need or any especially annoying roadblocks?
Okay. Well, as we detailed in last week's meeting, we retrieved all remote lab equipment from Little Rock, and it's now here, along with Remote Lab West, my house. You can see behind me this giant computer. That is the computer known as Chub, the ORI South version of Chonk, which is in the actual remote lab elsewhere in my house. Um, I am trying to get it put back together and working. So far, I've got the networking working, and all but one of the hard drives is working. I had a little oopsie-do on the power connector and broke off the one of the little plastic tabs that's essential for the power connector to work. So I found another power cable, and I'm trying to get that working. So far, it has not cooperated, but it's a long cycle because I have to shut down and reboot for each one, and Unraid is not a quick reboot. Um, you can see it's a giant chassis with lots of room for stuff in it. Uh, you're only seeing the back of it here, so you can't see all the all the storage bays. But and this little box here is the Raspberry Pi ORI South, which provides the WireGuard gateway to the rest of the internet. So I've duplicated the ORI South lab here with a couple of minor changes so it would work on my local LAN instead of on the one it was on in Little Rock. And that's working now. So cool. Um, it does have the two SSDs in it. I wasn't sure about that because I hadn't opened those compartments yet, but I see them on the disk inventory. We don't have as many of SSDs because we've upgraded Chonk with some additional SSDs for use in VMs, and we don't have those here, at least not yet. We may add them. We have a card, a PCI card that will hold up to 4 additional SSDs, and there's room, I think, for 2 more SSDs on the motherboard. So there's definitely room for expansion here. The exact plan, I'm sort of playing it by ear, trying to figure out what needs to be done next. I want to get this up and running in its original configuration, which is some number of updates behind because it's been offline in Little Rock. Uh, Try to get a benchmark of how fast VMs work with that configuration, then update it all the way to the version 7 unraid, which is beyond where Chonky is right now, and see if that affects performance. And if it seems to work, then I'll bring Chonk up to version 7 and we'll be consistent. And then I'll start experimenting with this unit to try to improve performance. And hopefully that will teach some lessons that I can transfer over to Chonk and we'll have faster VMs. And we can use this one until we find another use for it to provide additional VM hosting. That's where it's at in the remote lab.
Right on. Thanks. So it sounds like we don't quite know if we need to buy any additional supplies, equipment, or materials.
Well, yeah, we have the information to decide, but we just haven't decided. It's going to be a question of whether we want to spend the money on uh, stuff we already have but don't quite know how to use yet. Uh, right now seems to be a good time to buy SSDs. For some reason, they're cheap. Um, Ahead of tariffs, maybe. Who knows? But might buy some just to have them.
Yeah, it might be a good idea just to buy whatever we need in order to fill out the machine in the same way that we have for Chonk. So that'd be okay by me.
Okay. I will work up an ideal proposal and see what it's going to cost.
Okay. Yeah, it'd be good. I know that there's a lot of inventory that's been built up, so if it ever would be useful to have the discs, and I think it would. There's a couple of different possibilities for this equipment that we've talked about, not the least of which is to figure out how to improve performance, with a parallel machine to test and experiment with. That's an immediate good use. But moving forward, I can't see any alternative could use more disk space. So, we've had to upgrade our particular machine that we use here at Remote Labs West at least twice. Because well, Xilinx and Vivado use a lot of disk space. So, and if you want to do experiments and build, embedded Linux and experiment, then the disk space comes in handy. That's for sure. So that'd be totally okay by me. I think you can go ahead and do that if there's anything that needs to be obtained in the near future. So yeah, here we are. This is what, when we talk about Remote Labs West in San Diego, this is what the bench looks like. And, equipment that Paul has talked about off and on for a while. We have all sorts of stuff crammed on this bench, everything from battery testing for a really interesting sort of historical retro battery test experiment to verify, validate, and also sort of restore some of the really neat achievements of AMSAT in the past with NICAD battery packs made up from cells and how that was done. And we're very confident that we've figured out how to test and what you can do in order to duplicate the really, really good results. Probably the most heavily used item is on the lower right there, and that's the spectrum analyzer that we use it all the time. And all of the equipment selected is network accessible, so that's been the big leverage thing. We have oscilloscopes, signal generation, multiple power supplies, frequency measurement, all sorts of stuff here. You can see.
What's the frequency range on your spectrum analyzer?
Oh, let's see. It's at least up to 6. I think it goes up to 10 gig. So it's
Okay.
No, it's limited to 6.5, I think.
6.5. Okay, yeah. And we have an older spectrum analyzer that we sometimes loan out that actually has it can go up a lot higher, but it's a much more crude, not a digital spectrum analyzer. And then let's see, on the surface of the desk here, there you can see scattered around are 4 different Pluto SDRs. That's the main target for uplink protocol opulent voice right now. And you can see lots of experiments going on with that. So that's what an operating remote lab looks like. The computer is actually under the desk, and it has a variety of virtual machines that are all hosted on an Unraid server. Unraid is a way, it's sort of like an operating system, but it provides a host for virtual machines. This is from the gaming community and has worked out surprisingly well for us. It allows us to host VMs and also assign hardware to the VMs in a way that has proved to be less problematic than maybe traditional hardware assignments to VMs, which sometimes causes issues. This is what the second set of equipment. This used to be Remote Lab East. It became Remote Lab South. Now it's here. So that's what it looks like when it's all in boxes. So what's next? Remote Lab South network, getting it back up and running. Paul pointed out the computer from Remote Lab South on his bench, and the goal is to get it restored and updated. There was broken glass in the case. We're going to try to replace that with laser cut acrylic and then use the second computer to help fix the performance issues like Paul discussed. We're moving forward on putting together a curriculum and a project proposal for the major local universities here in San Diego to try to do some outreach and to try to get, made some involvement from universities as part of our, open source HEO-GEO satellite project, the opulent voice being the uplink and DVB-S2 downlink. So those parts, a lot of that's already done. We have some good work done on the middle part, which takes everything from the uplink and then assigns it to frames for the downlink. So what we're hoping to do is to go back, take all this content, propose these projects, leverage local universities and professors, and see if we can get them or local companies and people that looking at commercial world too. And just try to get a little more work done. And regardless of whether or not any of this outreach works, we'll get a really solid updated statement of work, regardless of whether they bite. And spreading the word about what we do is a win-win for us in every way. We've been talking quite a bit about which pieces of equipment we need more of and which ones we really don't. So if any of this doesn't work, we follow through on our original decision to kind of sell the lab and put the money back into our operations. On the regulatory side, there's a proceeding which is now in the reply comments portion, at least for another 6 days, and that's 25-133. This is from the FCC. It's called delete, 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 and it's a call for, hey, is there anything in regulations that you would like to see axed or cut, eliminated? So we have 2 additional comments. We filed comments about the 219 megahertz band, about removing a lot of burdensome and extra requirements that are in there for notification for permission, for AMTS licensees to tell ARL about their, which they never did, and for operators to register with the ARL, which very few did. So if we can get these particular regulations deleted, which would be great, then 219 megahertz becomes a much nicer band to use. It's already set up for digital fixed messaging, and 219 megahertz is a really cool frequency. So that looking at like the way that the channel works, it's really neat. And now's the time. We have tons of really wonderful SDRs, cheap computing. This could be a really cool band. The big impediment for use has been the requirements, the notification and permission requirements have chilled activity down to 0. So those were comments that we had previously filed. We also filed 2 additional ones. We filed a comment to agree with ARL, who also filed a bunch of comments. They did not address 219, but they addressed a lot of other things. The link there will take you directly to ARL's comments. We just put in our support and said that we really liked the deletion of the baud rate, simple rate, and bandwidth limitations, and the elimination of language that limits learning about and using digital codes. So those are kind of cool and important. And note about the digital codes, because we're working on another article and maybe possibly another set of comments specifically about that. And then the other set of reply comments that we have filed are in support of comments filed by Association of American Railroads. These are the people that currently have the AMTS licenses for 219, and WISPA, also active on 219, and Steve Stroh, who filed comments about 219. So our reply comments say, hey, we really agree with you in these particular ways. We cite exactly which filings we're agreeing with. And so this brings us to a little bit more discussion about digital codes. So are multi-carrier data modes illegal in amateur radio? This is a discussion PDF that's been published to Slack and the email list. This comes from a really good question from Mike McGinty, who is an organizer and leader of Amateur Cellular Project, and he brings LTE to the amateur bands. He spoke last week, so if you go back a week, you could see him speaking about that on our YouTube channel. We're very interested in any modes that look like LTE or 5G because of our Neptune project, which is an OFDM based project. And the rules for amateur radio do not include multi-carrier data modes like OFDM. The definitions of emission types just don't include it. And so what we've done is proposed some changes in the rules. So this dovetails with some of the things that ARL said about digital modes, but it goes a little bit further with some specific updates, proposed updates. So this doesn't really fit in with the delete because it's not a cut. It isn't a deletion, it's an addition or change. We really would appreciate comment and critique. So check your email or Slack, or get in touch with me directly if you want to see the draft article. It should go into our next newsletter. We might go ahead and send it into QST, see if they will publish it. We may take our draft and attempt to do a proposed rulemaking, or we may just try to pass it along to ARL to see what they think and what they might be able to achieve with their regulatory team. And again, if you're interested in this or anything else that we do, then please go to openresearch.institute/getting started and use those resources to introduce yourself and get involved. On our Slack is where we communicate day to day. We have an announcement email list and an active Git repository. So that's what I've got to share. That's the things that we've done, the comments that we filed over the past week, those 2, in addition to the one about 219, and the potential regulatory work that we're talking about, in particular to try to get multi-carrier data modes clarified in FCC rules.